Okay, hi everyone. So I wanted to share with you about what happened to me 13 years ago. In my first pregnancy, I started falling quite sick during my second trimester, and I became so sick and I lost so much weight that I became lighter than my pre-pregnancy weight. So I finally got referred to a specialist because my gynae couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I was hospitalized as they ran tests, and then I was finally diagnosed with lupus. So lupus is an autoimmune disease where your immune system attacks your healthy tissues and organs. And at that time, I was 26 weeks pregnant, and the lupus was attacking my organs, which was why I felt so sick. So the doctor said, at that time, they said that they would prioritize my life over the babies. So they did what they could to stabilize my condition. And then finally, when they had the chance to do the ultrasound for the baby, that was when they found that the baby was very small, kind of like had stopped growing, and my amniotic fluid was very low. So this would affect the development and the growth of the child. Further tests showed that this baby could be birthed extremely prematurely, as well as possibly with severe deformities. So it was a very devastating time for me and my husband, and we were just hit with bad news after bad news, all of which were completely beyond our control. And the doctor also said, there's nothing you can do about it, in a way to assure me, but it was so despairing. And so at that time, the only thing we could really do was to pray and to ask for prayer. And Pastor Dan Fu, our senior pastor at that time, he rallied the church to pray for me. And because I was serving at youth church, Pastor Darren then rallied the youth leaders to pray for me. I was in hospital throughout this entire time, so I didn't know about all of these rallies for prayer until people in church started to text me and to assure me and to tell me that they were praying for me. I was in a lot of physical and emotional pain. I had to go through multiple blood tests, scans. I was transferred hospital because they couldn't handle my case in the first one. And there was a lot of uncertainty of what would happen to me. But I continued, and I tried to continue to persevere in faith, to hold on to God. Because I think really at that point, what else could I hold on to? Nothing. But I knew that no one doctor's diagnosis was the final verdict of what my life is, because my life is in God's hand. And so in times when I felt that I just could not go on, the faith of my family and friends carried me through. And in the midst of this very challenging time, I also received comments like, don't worry, you just need to have faith. And I was thinking to myself, right, trust me, I have a lot of faith, okay? Yeah, or they will say, don't worry, you will surely go on to 40 weeks full term, you just need to believe. And I know they mean well, but comments like that didn't help. However, God sent many more to encourage me. And so while praying for me, one of the youth leaders who didn't know the exact condition, but she just prayed, and God gave her a vision of my womb. And he showed her his hands, the Lord's hands, incubating this baby and growing this baby. And he told her to assure me that the Lord himself is growing this child. Another time, Pastor Jason and a few others, they will receive updates. So they received news that my amniotic fluid was very low. So they gathered together and they began to pray. And he said that God gave him a vision of water just cascading down. And he had the sense that I will be okay. Because I was hospitalized for many weeks before delivery, and I was alone for very long stretches in between mealtime visits, I had time to pause, to really just reflect, to pray, to think, to meditate on scripture, to make sense of what was happening to me before the Lord. And I began to develop this faith conviction that as long as I trust God, I don't need to control or dictate how okay looks like. I will not need to decide, if 40 weeks full term means it's going to be okay or not. He will decide, and I will flow with him. And that was when my husband and I also decided to name the baby Ethan, because the name means steady and firm. And that's what we began to declare prophetically, that he will be steady and firm in the Lord. So quite miraculously, though the doctor said there was nothing that I could do to improve the baby's conditions, but I believe that because of all the prayers that have been lifted up, my situation turned. So my amniotic fluid began to increase, and I managed to hold the pregnancy until 34 weeks. That was Christmas Day. So on 26th of December, Boxing Day, Ethan was delivered at 1.3 kg, and he was in ICU for a month, and on the day that he was discharged, he was at 1.8 kg. It was CNY reunion day. So it was a very significant 1 month. And Ethan was completely healthy. He had no birth defects, but he was just very, very tiny at 1.8 kg. So I actually saw the power of faith and corporate prayer that had birthed Ethan to life. And, you know, for a few years after he was born, an elderly auntie in church, she would write a Christmas card to us, and she would always include an ang pao for Ethan, and she would address it to our miracle baby, because she was part of those who had interceded alongside us. And it reminds me that truly this story is not mine alone, but it is also the church's story, the power of faith, the power of corporate prayer that helped bring this child to life. And I'll always be grateful for the love and support we had received throughout our entire journey. So many in this church that had come alongside to pray with us, to just be with us. And for myself, I think because of all that I had been through, I really encountered the person of Jesus like never before. While none of us would ever wish for suffering or trials, yet I can say that if not for this, I would not have experienced the depth, the measure of God's love, mercy, character, miracles, and grace. I would not have experienced to this extent. If not for this, I would also never have known such a deep outpouring of love and prayer from the people of God as I did in this season. And because I have now experienced such profound love and such incredible deliverance from God, I cannot ever deny His power and His presence. Today, Ethan is 12 years old, or will be 12 in December. He's taking his PSLE exam next week. Please continue to pray for him. Thank you. And you know, every year on his birthday, on my birthday, I'm reminded of God's miracle. And I'm so thankful to be alive, to be able to share with all of you this story. For those of you who have been in BBTC for more than 12, 13 years now, and you've heard this perhaps even a few times, and you have prayed with me, you know, as well, I just want to say thank you, because your faith helped to carry me through at a time where it seemed impossible for me to hold on to God. So thank you.